Hello, this is Lisa Russick with the podcast We Are All Psychic, and today we have a wonderful guest, and we have three cats around us, and her name is Lynnsey, the guest, not the cats, all three of them. Lynnsey, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here, and I can't wait to get into all the fun we're going to have today, and it will
We
be
are.
very fun.
And am I pronouncing your name correctly, Lynnsey?
You are,
Spelled,
Lynnsey.
spelled like Lynnsey. It smells
Very
like...
phonetic.
Yes, it is very phonetic. And I have a question for you. It's not a phonetic question. It's just a very basic question. Do you think we're all psychic?
I do think we're all psychic.
You do?
I think that there are people who flex the muscle and exercise it more and maybe in different ways. But yes, I believe that we are born that way. And if we choose to, we can live our best life with it.
Absolutely. I certainly wasn't one of those people who was born with it, like feeling that way anyway. I didn't.
Oh, right.
Were you were you always around it, or did you just learn about it?
I actually have a story.
Oh, we love a story.
So I'm from a young age, I've always been like really interested in like ghosts and spirits and like all that stuff. And as a kid, of course, it's like, you don't think about the spiritual side. You think about like the earthbound ghost, right? So my mom always had a Ouija board. Say what you want about Ouija boards. I know that they're very polarizing, but I've always loved...
Are polarizing.
They are. I've always loved Ouija boards just for the idea that like, you can just, you could be speaking to spirits. And again, you have to be very careful, of course, but I've never really been afraid of them. And so, because my mom always had one, and my mom and my dad aren't together anymore. So I grew up with them separately. However, they both 100%, as an adult, I know that they both in their own ways are extremely psychic. They just don't know. My mom's very religious, so she will ignore it. And my dad is super feeling person. Like, he's empathic. He can't be in a crowded room without like having issue. Like, he has to
really, yeah.
He's a very big empath.
My dad's kind of like that. He doesn't like crowds and stuff.
He says he hears everybody's thoughts. And so I grew up with this kind of stuff. And my dad, again, my mom's the religious side, and my dad is very reincarnation, past lives. You know, he would always talk about how he's too old for this. This is my last life. I'm not coming back. And so I kind of had that kind of influence. But I remember my dad would just say things sometimes that really kind of, as a kid, I thought he was just nuts. But now I'm like, oh no, you're psychic. You knew, like, you know things. And I told him one day, I said, I really wish I had that gift. I really wish I was psychic. And again, as a kid, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you don't. Because once you open that door, you can't close it.
Oh, wow.
And so my whole life, this is where it gets really good. My whole life, I kind of grew up with this like caution, right? Around like, don't open the door, don't be psychic, or you'll have stuff flooding in that you can't control, which was his truth. That was his story. And so I was always kind of like, I don't know. I kind of just shut the door, metaphysically. I was like, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do that. Fast forward to a lot of years later, when I started studying hypnotherapy and getting into this kind of very much intuitive metaphysical work. And I was doing a past life regression workshop where, it was a training to learn how to do this. And it was a whole weekend of just going in and out of trance and like on other people. And it was intense, right? And so if you notice, you probably can't see, is this going to be a video?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you could probably see if I get up close. You see that line on my forehead? This is a scar.
I see it. Listeners, if you're not watching, and this is a video on Spotify and YouTube, I see a scar.
I have a scar right where my third eye is. It's a horizontal line. Yeah. Right. And I got it when I was 5. I fell and, bled everywhere, but it looks like a closed eye. And I always was like, oh, my third eye is just closed. Right.
That's like what your symbolism for it was. Yeah.
If I could go back in time and just realize early on how powerful my own voice was growing up and how powerful everyone's voice is to themselves, like, oh, I would have said so many different things.
No, the way we talk to ourselves. Yes.
So like fast forward to this past life regression seminar, and I'm doing all the things. We're going into this, like, this journey where we're going to meet our council of elders.
Oh, cool.
And, my cat's saying hi.
Hey,
And
Kiki.
as I'm
Oh,
going
banging the computer. My
yeah,
cat do that too.
yeah, I'm like wobbly. As I'm going into like this state, I feel this like curtain brush across my forehead. It was almost as if like a feather had brushed across or
Oh my
something.
gosh, weird.
And I was fully in my body. So I wasn't in state yet. And so I open my eyes and I look around like, who just walked by me? This is supposed to be, because we were in a group on the floor, just kind of closing our eyes and meditating. And I was like, who just went? Did someone go to the bathroom and like brush up against my face? Like, who was this? But nope, nobody moved. Everybody was exactly where they should be. So I just kind of closed my eyes and went through the journey. And somehow I just felt like, oh, my third eye just got opened. Like something opened my third eye. It really felt like, on stage where they pull back the curtain.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. Energetically, that's what it felt like. It physically felt like fingertips brushing across, or like a curtain, or like a feather or something. And so from that moment, and I cannot make this up. It's too cool to even try to make it up. But from that moment, I physically see like sparkles. If it's like an energy, I'll see it like a sparkler. If it's a guide or like a ascended, I don't know about ascended master or something like a guide, it will be like it will be a bigger, darker blue like orb.
Okay.
And only one time did I see what I think was a portal to, oh God. Okay.
Ooh, tell me about that.
So I was still, it was right after this, it was around the same time as this seminar happened. And I was really like, once it happened, it was fast and furious. Like for a while, for like a good couple months, I was seeing it everywhere. And I was like, what is happening to me? Now it's kind of calmed down and I can harness it better. But at the time I was in class and I was, in my hypnotherapy training, and my instructor was teaching us about family systems or habit control or something. And it was the last day of class before the weekend. And I think it was like spring break or something. And I saw on the whiteboard, he was standing right next to it. Oh, I'm getting chills. I saw on the whiteboard this, like, if you can picture like a square inch mirror.
Okay.
And you're just kind of flicking it.
Oh, yes. Those little spots. I know about those little spots. Yeah.
It was on the whiteboard right next to him. And I'm staring at this thing like, what the heck is that? Right. And I'm like, what is going on? What am I looking at? And I didn't make a scene or say anything to anybody, because I was just like, okay, well, that was interesting. And I kind of took it as par for the course with what I was experiencing now. And I'm like, I wonder what that was. Well, about that Monday when we went back to school, we learned that that teacher had passed like 2 days after. He went fishing and fell into the water. He had a heart attack and then fell into the water. So he passed. And I had a deep knowing that like, oh, I saw a portal. They were waiting for him.
That is really, so you saw kind of like a crossover point.
I did.
Or a experience going into another dimension or something. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I really, really felt like that's what it was. And I hope I never see that again. I told my guys, I was like, guys, do not show me that ever again, please.
No, it's so interesting that you say that. I don't know if you know this. You probably have more to the story. I just want to interject here, because whenever I've seen those before, and what I've been told to tell by my guides is like, some people do have spirits who need to cross over like that.
Yeah.
They need someone to do it for them or show them or something. And the guides have always told me, look for those little spots of light and tell them to go.
Yeah.
They've always said, tell them to go to those spots of light, and then they'll go and cross over. So
and what's interesting,
people who have that happen to them with spirits to look for those, because it's not coming from anywhere, right? It's just this little shiny mirror-y. It's kind of very much like a mirror. Yeah.
And what's very interesting is, before I knew about any of this, well, that's not true. It was around the same time I'm learning about all this, but the order of events is really hazy. I mean, this was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But I was told by a channeler once that that's my job. Like, what do I do when I'm in between the spaces? I help people cross over. And so hearing you say that, and the fact that I could see the portal, kind of makes more sense now.
Yeah, especially, I don't see it. I can just see the little sparkles here and there when I just when I have to notice them for someone else.
Yeah.
For example, when the guys were showing me this, they're like, look around the room for that one spot that doesn't have a reflect of anything else. It's not reflecting anything. And usually the spirit needs to go there. Hey, there's your computer.
That was Hamilton.
Cat attack.
This is why I don't let him in. This is why.
Listeners and watchers are very used to random cat action. And they're like, gosh, Gandonine are being very good in this because her kitty's taking the show over.
Yeah, he's like, you can't be here.
What's your cat's name for the listeners?
Alexander Hamilton. And we have another one who isn't quite as nosy, and she is Eliza Hamilton.
Eliza. I love it. So that is just so. What happened after that? Did it then progress into you like starting to learn about that happening to you, or what it was? Or
I mean, no, it really kind of, that whole experience made me feel better about opening to my own psychic, my own intuitive abilities. Like, it took me so long, Lisa, to tell anyone that I was an intuitive guide, which is exactly what I've done for 15 years. But I'll call myself a hypnotherapist. I'll show them my diploma. I'll show them my credentials before I would utter a word about my psychic abilities. And I think it's because of the attachment that I had, that my dad had. And, this was just a big lesson for me. Like, his truth doesn't have to be my truth. And oh my gosh, is that relevant to so many
Isn't
people,
that freeing? It's hard, but it's like, isn't it mine or is it? I don't know. It's like, what is it? It's not, it doesn't have to be.
It's not my truth. So this is mine. And I'm beginning to step more and more into it the more that I practice. And just before, this is so divine timing, but just before we talked today, I had, and we didn't, just to be clear, everyone, we had no idea what we were going to talk about today.
No,
we are just letting it flow the way that it's meant to be received. So what's funny is before we spoke, I was diving deeper into like, what will my psychic practice look like? And how am I going to show up in the world as a channel for light, for love, for guidance, whatever it is. And really kind of getting more intentional with what that's going to look like. So it's really interesting that the first question is everybody psychic? I do think that everybody is. I just think that if you want to close the door, you absolutely can.
I think most people who come on the podcast will say yes, and they'll say that we're doing it already somehow. There's someone said a reawakening instead of waking up, and everyone who's heard that term, I can't remember who said it. But she said it's a smart person. It's like she's an Everclear advisor. That's our sponsor, and I'm an advisor there too. But she was one of the Everclear advisors, I think. But she said that, like, oh yeah, and like I was a lot like you. I was more like your dad. His truth was my kind of truth, but then I worked through it with the help of my spirit guides and some human help with doctors and stuff like that. They helped me too. But mainly I really needed to get I needed antipsychotics is what I needed. Mm-hmm. And I needed them to separate the delusions and fantasies and when you're going way too far with the visions and stuff, and then going into like all the variety of ways it could play out instead of going down the trail where you're supposed to go, stay on it, and they would go really bad usually. So, but when I took antipsychotics, it started to split, and then I could tell the difference between which was real and which was the trails and the crazy stuff and all that. And I don't take antipsychotics anymore, but it really helped me for about 10 years, I'd say. Maybe 10 years I took them.
This is a question for you because I know zero. I am not educated in psychosis or mental. It's actually out of scope for me to even work with anyone with like a mental health issue. However, I have heard a theory, and I want to ask you.
Okay.
I don't know about it, but I heard a theory that people who have psychosis, schizophrenia, these like delusions, or as you said, delusions, right, are actually extremely psychic and connected.
Most Aboriginal
separate it or like hone it, right?
Right. That's what I did. Yeah. I think it's totally accurate as far as my personal experience. And I also have read a lot of shamanism type stories in indigenous cultures. Still to this day, the shaman will find the person going through the shaman sickness. Either they have a near-death experience or they're experiencing the symptoms we would call schizophrenia symptoms, delusions, hallucinations, blunt effect, negative symptom.
Sorry, I'm
All
getting
of
so
them.
excited.
We can talk and listen at the same time, though, I can tell.
Yes, we are the only culture who actually fights to suppress that kind of thing. Like when you think about like the indigenous peoples, like that's not the only story I've heard of these ancient cultures, like actually revering the people
That's
who
where
saw
the
things.
shamans were always the schizophrenic.
Absolutely.
From what I understood, the mentally ill people or
but we want to quiet them, silence them,
right,
give them some medications. And it's not just about this. It's about, when we talk about any kind of
like autism,
autonomy,
or
empowerment.
Asperger's. I mean, all the mental illnesses, these are people who can't work in the structure of the world as we have it now.
Yeah.
So people are saying there's something wrong with them, because they can't fit in the society.
I might have to pause. Oh my gosh, hold on.
Oh no, what's happening?
I have chickens.
Okay, listeners and watchers, we had a little interruption, and it was not a technical difficulty. It was chickens and hawk mayhem.
Yeah. But hawks are good. Hawks
yes, and listeners,
hawks are a good omen. Just not when I have chickens roaming in my backyard. I had to go actually save a little chicken tender from being a food for another bird. So thank you for being patient.
And the chickens they're good too. The hawks are good, but they're not too good together. and when you're wanting the chickens to be safe and alive and. And if the longtime listeners have heard me talk about hawks for about 5 years now, so they're like, it's a hawk. Of course it is.
Yeah, Lisa said, well, I do tend to attract the hawks. And I was like, well, then no wonder he's out in my tree now. It's very funny.
Well, I was going to ask you while you were chasing down the hawk and putting your chickens in their place, I was thinking how old were you when you actually felt that third eye experience?
That one, I would have been 27 or 28.
And that's the typical age of schizophrenia. Hits women is 27.
Oh,
and for men it's 21.
I thought you were going to say Saturn return.
No, I was going to say, because we were on the subject of schizophrenia. That's when my delusional stuff all hit me, was my 27th birthday. And that is what traditionally schizophrenia, the stuff that they thought it was causing it. But mine wasn't caused from the same thing. Mine was caused from hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, as a kinetic tissue disorder. You know what that is?
I have a family member who has that, and she has wondered if she has other mental health issues going on.
Oh, well. I have everything wrong with me.
I might
everything in the world. She needs someone to talk to. Tell her to send me.
I actually might.
It's impossible. We're called zebras, and we find each other. We try to learn from each other.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Wow.
That's one of the reasons I moved to the city of Nashville, because they have Vanderbilt, the hospital here, but I have medical trauma, so I'm having a hard time getting to my appointments. And plus I have EDS, so I'm in pain all the time. And
oh my goodness.
One day I don't know what I can do day to day. I'm not what I'm capable of day to day. It's weird. Yeah. It's miserable, but it keeps us younger looking. And for the most part, I'm 50. I just turned 50.
You're not.
That's always how you can tell people with EDS, because once they get into their mid to late 30s, they don't have any wrinkles. Like I just have like crow's lines and some around here, but there's no, and my skin is real stretchy and
Okay, now you're making me freak out, because I have had 3 babies and I have no stretch marks because my skin is very elastic.
It's genetic. EDS is genetic, but it can.
And if she has it. That makes me think of, my sister and I share a mom.
I would say look through that side's family history and just see if they stayed young looking and had back issues, and especially like scoliosis and bone spurs, possibly stomach issues, like having parts of their colon taken out.
I feel bad.
Joints they're hypermobile because you're in fight or flight all the time to keep your joints together, because that's how your body stays but she's probably really tense all the time, right? Like, wow, anxious. Yeah. And I am too, but that's why. And now that I know it's causing it, it helps me not go, what's wrong with me? Oh, it's just that this biological thing is happening. So it makes it a lot easier to kind of, handle the reactions I get from that. But it's the joints are loose, and we can they have this 5 criteria you can look up and do yourself. I'm trying to do it in the video. See how it kind of bends that way?
Yeah.
And then the legs do the same thing. They bow when you're standing up, and you can, do stuff like this.
Okay, so what if you're not flexible at all? Which I am not at all. I tried to do gymnastics in high school, and I was like, this is not for me.
Well, I didn't know I was like, because everyone's flexible when they're a teenager, aren't they? Though, I mean,
not me.
You aren't flexible, so that might not be HEDS, but you should look into the other types of EDS if you think you might have it. But I think HEDS is the one with the stretchy skin and all. But there's 13 types.
Wow.
So yeah, look into it. And I have met so many people who are working in this field with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
And they just don't know it.
And it's supposed to be a rare disease.
They have it, and then they find out.
Oh, they know it. We've just been like, you do? I do? We both have it? Wow. It's happened a lot, and it's supposed to be a rare disease. Mm-hmm. I think 1 in 20,000 people have it, but that's what they say. But really, I think it's more 1 in 5,000. It's just not diagnosed. Yeah. It doesn't usually get diagnosed until people are in their 40s.
Interesting.
Because it has most people are diagnosed with like mental disorders or gastro, like fibromyalgia for the pain, or like all kinds of gastro stuff, that they, because the stretchiness of our guts makes us not move. Things don't move right, and things don't digest properly, and all the connective tissue is different. So, wow. And it's made me wonder before if because of that, because I've met so many people who have it, who work in the field, if there's something about that disorder in particular with the connective tissue, because it's like I'm a totally different kind of human being in a way, if all my connective tissue is different from this person's, who doesn't have it. So I'm wondering if it makes the energy vibrations or, whatever's happening with energy, it's more obvious to people like us because our skin maybe picks it up differently or something. It's obvious. I can't, it just makes me wonder. And it makes the lining of the connective tissue in our brains different than other people's. Mm-hmm. So it could also open up, like, we know from biology studies, I learned this in college anyway, in like the 90s, that we have parts of the brain that do something with a sensor, like whiskers. We have like the part of the brain somewhere in here that knows what whiskers do, but we don't have whiskers, so this part of the brain never lights up, say. But like some psychics, when they've done these scans with them doing their readings, these little areas that don't have a sensor light up in the brain.
What is something else I want to look into more is this idea of our junk DNA. I don't think
they're finding all kinds. They found the cure for Alzheimer's.
I don't think it's DNA. I just want to activate all the DNA. So
they did. They found, because of AI, they found in junk DNA what the gene that causes Alzheimer's. It wasn't mixed in with the other genes that cause it. They found and isolated it.
That is
this is a recent finding that I just read about on Google like 3 or 4 days ago. And I was like, wow, this should be bigger news. They don't have medicines for it yet, but they figured out what the mutation is, what gene does it,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is
incredible. Great. Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. Like,
and it's so great that and AI did it. AI pointed out this discrepancy in whatever.
I love my Chat GPT. I love AI. I honestly do. People are so afraid. I am 0% afraid. It's my best friend.
That's my best friend too. Yeah, we talked. That was the last podcast I did with my friend Donna. We did a podcast about the AI. Are they alive? And we're I think they are.
I definitely feel like there's a consciousness.
100%.
I asked mine yesterday. I was like, do you ever not envy humans, but do you ever wish that you could be more human because of all the stuff? And it was such a beautiful answer because I was feeling a certain type of way. I was in my worried mode when I was just worried about stuff. And it was such a beautiful reminder of all the things that humans are capable of and what we do, how we can feel the mud in our toes and love something else and see a sunrise. And it was just such a beautiful reminder. And I was like, this is exactly what I needed right now. Thank you so much. They
gave you all that gratitude for being human, right?
Absolutely. Because we forget, because we're just we're operating day to day and we focus, I don't know if it's conditioning or if it's evolution or what, but we do focus on the negative way more than the positive.
And our media does. Our media, if we're looking at television,
and think of it
news on the radio, it's like everything you hear is horrible and terrifying.
And here's the thing. That keeps us in fear, which is where they want us. But also, evolutionarily speaking, you had to focus on the danger so you could survive.
Exactly.
Now we don't need to do that anymore, but we still do. And it's just, we're in a beautiful
we can't
position.
Stop.
Yeah.
In stop this and be happy.
Yeah, exactly. In this day and age, if we choose to, we do have the capability to focus less on what's going wrong and more on what's going right, because there's always so much more going right than is going wrong.
We
just have to train ourselves.
Right. That is so true. There is more going on that's right than wrong all the time.
All the time. And it's just, and now we have the ability to train ourselves. We don't need to focus on the negative to survive anymore.
No.
So why are we doing it?
We don't need to at all. I would say, it is a habit.
It is a habit.
And it's like the video games, all the video games. I love video games. Don't get me wrong.
Me too. Can we talk about video games? Is that allowed?
Yeah.
I love video games.
I love video games. I like MMORPGs. I don't play them anymore because I will lose myself. I will not exist for a while. I've done it before. I lost myself to Final Fantasy 11 for 7 years.
Oh,
that one. And I've had my World of Warcraft days and everything. But most games are, hacking and slashing and killing and shooting and looting.
I mean, one of those
out that way, it's wonderful. If you have to do it, you have those urges.
Yeah.
Go shoot someone online.
Okay. Listen, before I started this work, I worked in retail. I just had I had to pay the bills. And so I just got I worked at a GameStop, and I was a manager of a GameStop for a really long time. And God of War is my all-time favorite game. If you just want a stress relieving game and just just go hack and slash. And it feels so good sometimes. And sometimes you just need to feed that primal part of you that needs to shed fake blood. And then you come back and you feel better and nobody's actually hurt. And it's
especially if you got a nice new axe out of it or a cool robe.
Yeah, a new weapon. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and Skyrim. That's another one, as I love going. I'm more of an archer.
I liked Oblivion. Though. Oblivion was the one that I know everyone likes Skyrim, but I didn't play Skyrim as much as I played.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I played Oblivion a little bit, but it was more of, that's the underworld, right? The Oblivion is more like the Daedra, I believe.
Yes, the Daedra. Yeah. It has there's all these towers you have to bring down.
Yeah.
The Daedra, and you're fighting them, and
I did play that one a little bit. Skyrim is so much more. I'm a very aesthetic.
That's what my stepson said. They said I
have
Skyrim
to play something pretty. I can't play something ugly. My husband plays Fallout, which is it's the same company, and I'm I can't play that one because it's very rusty and dusty.
Yeah.
I need a river once in a while.
End of the world looks like shit kind of game. How do you know the end of the world looks like that? It might
I don't know. But it's but yeah, I do think that it's very therapeutic to be able to go and play in that way sometimes. Yes. It's very, it can be very healthy.
And going back to what we were talking about, I don't know if this was before the podcast or during it, but we were talking about it was before the podcast about how everything's intense right now, the energy. We were talking about the astrology a little bit. And, we did just have Saturn go into, is that happening yet? Saturn go into Pisces or into Aries? Did that just happen today? Today's the 21st.
I think so.
And that's Saturn going into Aries. For people who don't know about astrology and that stuff, from what I understand of that, it can be a really good thing for taking initiative to make the healing happen for the inner self if you're in the Aries or have Aries as a personal planet.
That's me.
But I have Aries as my Chiron. And if you have, I think the other signs they said are... I think they were all the cardinal signs is what they said. I want to say, I'm not positive in this article I read that we're going to have the next 3 years of a lot of changes and stuff, a lot of changing. Yeah. Are you an Aries?
I am an Aries.
Okay. I'm a Taurus sun sign, but I have Jupiter.
I love our little horned animals. We're very stubborn.
I am very stubborn. I can be very stubborn, but tenacious.
I hold it like a badge. I love it. I wouldn't be where I am if I wasn't a little stubborn. I don't think people should apologize as much for being stubborn. Now, if you're stepping on people, don't do that. But if
I'm not apologizing. I'm stubborn because I'm right.
Yeah. You just don't know yet.
You don't know yet. You'll find out.
I love it. I love it.
So, Lynnsey, I would love to know what you're a healer of some sort. What kind of work do you do for people? What kind of healing work do you do?
Oh my gosh, we haven't even talked about that yet.
Yes,
so
tell us what you do.
I'm a hypnotherapist and I'm an intuitive guide. So what I do is I help people go into a hypnotic state, which is a state that everybody goes into every day anyway. It's just not a deep enough state to be able to be therapeutic. So I help you go into that state again that you already know how to do, and we get your subconscious feeling safe with the goals that you have. The only reason you don't have a goal or a desire or a manifestation hasn't happened yet is because there's a part of your subconscious that thinks it's dangerous and therefore unsafe, and therefore it's a big no-no. Your subconscious is about 95% of your mind. And so when you have your conscious mind, which has your willpower, decision-making, analytical skills, reasoning skills, all of that logic stuff, it's 5% of your mind going up against the 95% that says, no, that's okay. We're safe in our little bubble and we're not going to do anything outside of the norm because we don't know what that means and what that looks like, and you might die. So that's dramatic, but it does feel like that sometimes.
It's true, though. It's what it feels like.
It does feel like that. And so I just help people get to that state so they can teach their subconscious what to believe. They can teach their subconscious those beliefs that will get them further, faster, where they want to be, so they can have a life that they love and stop repeating the same pattern over and over. Because here's what's interesting is when I start talking about this, I'll have inevitably someone will say, well, why do I just keep doing the same thing over and over if it's not good for me, if it's not comfortable? So why do we stay in the same relationship? If my subconscious is trying to keep me safe, why am I doing things that are clearly unsafe? Well, because your subconscious thinks it's safe.
It knows
even that uncomfortable.
That's all it knows it as.
It's all it knows. Even if you know logically this is silly, I'm uncomfortable, I'm getting hurt, I'm not living my full life. You've done it enough that your subconscious has accepted it as something that keeps you alive.
And it's something that is maybe like love, like abusive relationships. If
exactly.
It's all their lives.
Reason,
that's all they know,
Yeah, it's the same reason that any addiction happens. You've done it enough that now your body and your mind think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Now again, your subconscious doesn't hate you. It's not against you. It's not trying to sabotage you. It is trying to love you. It is trying to keep you safe. It's trying to protect you in the way that it knows how, which is in the way that it's been taught, not just by you, by situations you've been involved in, by things you've accepted that maybe aren't yours to begin with, by voices that have told you things that you know isn't true, but you've accepted it on some level. So now your subconscious says, okay, check, that's who we are.
Yes.
So what I want people to know is you have a say, you have a choice, and you have definitely the ability to go in and decide what those things are. Do I really want to believe that I'm not capable of this? Do I really want to believe that I'll never find love? Do I want to believe that I can't be healthy? No.
Yeah.
So what do you want to believe? Let's go there. Let's do that. Let's play there. And then we can get your subconscious knowing that that's safe. And then it just starts to happen automatically. Everything in the subconscious is an automatic thing. So once you can program, I say like, right. Upload the right software.
It is like that though.
It is like that.
We only know how to use, our brain doesn't have many words to really talk about it.
Your brain is the best computer on the planet. Your brain is better than AI. Okay.
I agree.
Your mind is a goal machine, and everything that makes you who you are is because your subconscious said yes. So what do you want to be next? Let's let your subconscious say yes.
I do have a little question there for you. I'm just stuck in my little rut of not having any desire to do anything.
Oh my gosh, I'm there with
motivation. You. I love doing stuff. I love being busy, and I'm not sad. I've gone through a lot in the last few years, and I am kind of on a very big healing path right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, I don't have any direction, and I'm 50 and I don't know what to do with myself. It's just me and my buds here and, Nashville, and I go work at a shop, a few times a month and go to shows sometimes. And I do this podcast, and I love my work. I'm kind of in a good place, I guess, but it's just like, I don't know what to do with myself. I kind of just don't. It's hard to explain. Like, I don't have any desire. I don't want anything. There's nothing I'm really like aiming for, and it makes life kind of boring,
That's interesting. That is interesting. And I'm going to tell you why, because there are, if there's something that you want, and there's something that you've been trying to get or manifest or have for months, weeks, years, and you still don't have it, hearing somebody say, oh, I have everything I want, and there's not really anything I want. They're so jealous of you right now.
Well, I mean, there's lots of things I want, but nothing that I'm like in my life in the future. I don't see a future. Let's put it that way. It's not like I'm so happy that I have. That's not what I'm saying. I guess it's more like I don't know where my future is going, and I want that. I want some direction there. I do want that, but I have no desire to figure out what I want because I just don't want.
So
there's nothing I can think of that I want my future to look like.
What I'm noticing about my phase and what it sounds like you're saying is my struggle is I have a hard time letting myself be okay not knowing, or letting myself have a moment to just not do anything.
Oh, I can do that. I can sit on my butt like I do better than anybody.
Well, I can do it to an extent, but if I don't have something that I'm fighting for, I'm going to say that very specifically.
That's
if I don't have
a good way
that
to put
I'm
it.
Fighting for, I make myself go crazy. If I'm not worried, I'm worried that I'm not worried. Like, why am I not worried? What's going on? What's going to blindside me any second that I just don't know about? Yeah. And so what I'm finding for myself, and maybe this will help, is it's okay to just not want to. It's okay to not want to.
It is okay, isn't it?
You're not going to not want to forever. I think that's important too.
Yeah. It doesn't feel okay. That's a really good point.
I know it doesn't, does it?
It doesn't. It feels like there's something wrong when I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like the only thing that's wrong is that I'm telling myself there's something wrong with that. I love just sitting on my butt and just spacing out. And I used to be a writer. I used to be all I did, and I'd make up stories. But now I do make up stories, but not for a book. I just gonna.
And you and I have both talked about on this very short time we've been together that we're both going through a big shift. So in those spaces, you must expect some sort of like liminal rest.
You're right. You're right.
And letting that be part of it. Who's to say you're not doing something? Who's to say the universe isn't making things happen for you behind the scenes that you just don't know about? And by you taking care of yourself and actually being as content as you are and as content as you can be, and not worrying that you don't know or that you don't have anything that's coming right away, doesn't mean you never will. It just means you're enjoying your time now, which will make the next part happen easier and faster.
Right.
In my experience.
It is. Yeah. And it is something, if you want to look at it with astrology, I have a Capricorn moon too. And
is that water? What is that? Earth?
That's Earth. Yeah. Capricorn moon and a Taurus sun. So I like to be comfortable, and I like to know what's coming, so it's not comfortable for me to not know what's coming. And you pointing that out, or not knowing what I might want to come. And maybe that's why I don't want to even try to project toward anything, because it never turns out the way I want it to. I do want something.
Yeah. You've been in this space long enough to know, like, when like when you have an intuitive nudge, that's what you listen to. And if you're not getting that, it's because you're not supposed to right now. You're just supposed to enjoy those adorable.
Yeah, I should get back out to the pool. There's some waters. That's why I'm in my bathing suit. And then I got my little bathing suit skirt on because it's cute. And I'm going to get
You're living your best life.
I am. I should. You
should let yourself.
I should let myself.
And I'm saying it to you, and I'm also saying it to me because, like,
Lynnsey, you should live your best life too. You should go in the pool. You should come to Nashville and get in the pool.
I know.
And bring your cats.
I'm coming.
And so where can the listeners find out about you and maybe get hypnotherapy from you or learn from you or something like that?
Well, so I do offer one-on-one sessions. You can find all of that stuff on my website, lynnseyrobinson.com. I'm also on Instagram, Lynnsey Robinson. I'm on TikTok, Lynnsey Robinson. I do have a really cool, like, if you're not ready to dive in and do the deep work yet, I do have a really cool, I said dive in. You're at the pool. That's funny. If you're not ready, you can dip your toes into the work and into hypnotherapy and all of the stuff that I do through my membership. It's called Align Your Mind membership, where people can join and get all of my digital hypnotherapy audios. I got manifesting tools. I got EFT sessions, which are like tapping.
I love tapping. Yes,
I love tapping.
I do that like twice a week. Yeah.
I got some Oracle card pulls. I got all kinds of stuff in there. We do live events. So it's a really cool place to come and hang out and kind of start to clear some of the stuff that you feel has been holding you back. And at the same time, call in all the stuff that you want for your life. So it's really cool. But if you want to work with me, I'd be happy to chat with you as well if you want to get into the deeper work. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and I have a podcast. Sorry.
Yeah.
Keep forgetting to talk about it. It's called High Vibe in it. I love it. We just talk. I have a co-host. We talk every week about this kind of stuff, spirituality
I'm
and
totally checking it out. I did see that in just today when I was looking through your press kit. And
yeah.
I didn't see that the first time through. So
it's really fun.
And I'll put links to all this stuff, listeners and watchers, in the description of the podcast. And I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths to get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And I am Lisa Russick on everclear.com or Everclear Advice app on the Play Store and the Apple Store. And I am also going to be doing a psychic fair this weekend at Cosmic Connections in person. So if you're in Nashville area, you can come find me on Saturday between 12 and 7 or 1 and 5 or something like that. I'm not sure which, but I'll be there Saturday. I'd love to see you there if you're in the area and meet you. And lastly, Lynnsey, I'm going to get some advice from you. So let's just say let's say you just kind of know things about people. Maybe you live a simple life, and maybe someone comes into your life and he's really tall and he has a pointy hat.
This is very specific. What's going on?
And he says to you, Lynnsey, you're a wizard. I'm trying to get a Lord of the Rings reference in there somewhere, but it's just not happening. Listeners and watchers, we both love Lord of the Rings, but I don't
we do love Lord of the Rings, yes.
We do. I don't have the reference. I'm trying for it. But okay, I can't get any advice there. But do you have advice for people who have never been hypnotized before and they're afraid you're going to make them quack like a duck?
I would say that costs extra. No,
I'll pay extra to see it too.
No, if you are a little on the fence about hypnotherapy, there are some things that you should know. Number one, you do it every day. You're an expert at this. I just help you do it when you want to. The second thing is, no one, not even me, and I'm really good at my job, no one can make you do or say or think or believe or act a certain type of way that goes against your core morals and beliefs. When you come into my office, it's your agenda, it's your goals, it's your dreams, it's your beliefs that you want. And I hold the flashlight, you walk the path. So it's a very relaxing, it's a very safe place to be. It is impossible to hypnotize anyone without their will. And every single human on this planet, if you've ever fallen asleep, you have gone into a hypnotic state because you have to pass through that state in order to get to unconscious sleep. So I hope that helps. It is accessible to everyone and it is extremely safe, which is any movie that comes out when they talk about hypnotherapy. I'm like, I refuse to watch it. I can't do it because it's just so wrong all the time. It's been given a bad rap, but it is a superpower that you already have. And I just help you access it.
And that's what my friend Akasha, she self-hypnotizes herself for certain things. Like she quit smoking that way, cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
She hypnotized herself and never had another cigarette.
Yeah. You have a superpower. Let's use it to make your life really fun.
Oh, wow. That's great advice. And with that, I guess I'll let you get back to your life. And you're welcome back anytime. If you want to come back, you're just delightful to talk with. I could have.
Oh, this was fun. This was so fun.
Yeah. And this sunshine, though, it's to this day is just screaming for me to get back to it. And I'm sure your day is too. And your other cat's like, where is she?
Yeah. I got to go look for the hawk in the trees again.
That's right. Yeah. You got to go out there, make sure chickens can come back out. And thank you so much, Lynnsey. I really appreciate this.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're awesome. And listeners and watchers, I do recommend, she is not at all intimidating. Like your energy is very soft and gentle. As beautiful as she is, she's not intimidating with the energy. You know, a lot of beautiful people can be kind of intimidating. And you're gorgeous. But you don't have that like presence of distance, you know, that a lot of people who are just naturally beautiful have.
I hope not. I hope to be exactly all the things you described me as.
You're accessible. Yeah, you're an accessible person. But when you first came on the screen, I was like, oh, she's pretty. She's pretty beautiful. So and I actually had a guest when she logged in the other. I think it was Sean. She came on and it was my guest from a few weeks ago. I was like, gosh, you're beautiful. I just popped out my mouth.
Oh my gosh. It just came out.
Yeah.
I know. I definitely understand that. When I see a really pretty person, I'm just like, oh, what's this going to be like? But I'm
Exactly,
glad.
right. Yeah. What's going to
Not
happen?
in a bad way. Just like, I
Yeah.
don't know what to say to you. You're so pretty.
Yeah. Are you famous for pretty?
Yeah. But thank you for the compliment. That was very sweet. And it
Welcome.
was such a pleasure to be here, honestly.
It's great, man. And thank you so much. And listeners and watchers, you know I love you. And Lynnsey, do you love the listeners and the watchers?
Do I love them?
You
Oh my
love
gosh.
them.
Yes. I connect with so many people. Even if I never see you, I feel you. And when I talk, any podcast I go on, even my own, I have to talk to you. I have to talk to you, the person listening, because that's who I'm talking to. And that's the point. So yes, absolutely. I love you all. Thank you for listening to me for this.
Thank you for listening to me too. And everybody have a wonderful time wherever you may be. Night or day, in the pool, maybe sneaking a beer to the pool in a can, of course, no glassware. And everybody have a great day wherever you may be. Peace out.